Hey, 4C divers, welcome to Facebook Live. If you are watching, give us a thumbs up, give us a heart emoji, give you a smiley face, let us know that you're watching, or write in the comments, tell us a hello, tell us where you're listening in from. We want to know who is here and who is ready to hear a great presentation tonight. It is May, it is our spearfishing month here at 4C, and so of course we're going to be bringing you excellent presentations from all different realms of spearfishing. And so tonight we have an exciting presentation, free diving and spearfishing. And we are going to really quick talk about our website. Go to our website, go to the home page, and you are going to see this particular page, and you're going to see all the gear that you need to go diving if you scroll down. And also, if you shop online, we'll give you a free boat soap so you can get that fishy smell out of your cooler or off your boat or off your gear. We also have things in here like our Cooking the Local Catch recipes, and also the spearfishing guides are available with 4C. We also do classes as well, and also some great videos about spearfishing. So make sure you're going to our website. Go to www.force-e.com. Go ahead and check out that landing page, and we can definitely get you any information you need about spearfishing during the month of May, or actually year-round. We always have our spearfishing experts here at the stores, so make sure you come by and see us. All right, so everyone say hello. All right, they're all tuning in. Excellent. Well, guys, of course, I wanted to make sure that we brought in our experts when it comes to spearfishing. And so this is why we have this young man on the line with us here. We've got CJ. Say hi to CJ, everybody. All right. CJ,
What's up, guys?
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became into spearfishing and what company you run.
Yeah, so I grew up in Miami, Florida, where I would go to a little park called Matheson Hammock, for those of you who have anything in that South Florida area. And I would just drag nets and snorkel and whatnot. And then one day I actually found my mom's old spear gun. I was like 14 years old, and it was one of those old arbalettes, and she was shooting Goliath grouper back in the 70s when it was allowed, right? And so that's what got me started. I found the gun. I shot my first hogfish, and quickly became an addiction after that. And then I left for college. And while I was in college, I started the FGCU Spearfishing Club and got involved in student government and the Sports Club Council and budgeting, and really grew an audience there. It's where I taught a lot of people how to free dive and spearfish, and did a lot of safety seminars and things like that. And that's where I really started to forge relationships with all the different dive shops and different people within the industry itself. So when the time did come, fast forward, another couple of years, I was getting out of college, and I started Neritic, where I started making pole spears. So it was an easy transition for me to call up all the contacts and say, hey, I've got a new product. It was filling a void in the market. At the time, there were no real durable pole spears. Now there's tons of pole spears. There's tons of awesome brands, a lot of great different options for you. But at the time, there really wasn't very much that was made to target big fish. And so that's where I called and I said, hey, I have a solution. Obviously, they wanted to try it. Fast forward a few more years now, Neritic Diving is much more than just pole spears, right? We sell wetsuits, fins, dive bags, gloves, spear guns, you name it. We have it. I also now do spearfishing instructions. I do free dive courses, and I do guided trips, depending on where my clients would like to go. So it's really gone full circle, even to the point where I do take people in as students. They obviously then, I recommend them my gear. From there, once they pass a freediving course, we're able to then take them on the spearfishing expeditions. And then while they're on the spearfishing expeditions, when they land the biggest fish of their life, and it's the fish they've always dreamed of, I actually do the taxidermy work, and I take the bones out and put it all together. So it really is a full circle full service spearfishing experience over here at Neritic Diving.
That's awesome. So guys, he talked about bags. Well, they just launched a new bag and we are going to raffle it off later. So you have to make sure that you're registered for tonight on the Eventbrite page. Go to www.force-e.com before 6:45. And that is where you're going to put your name and email address, and we will do a live raffle after this presentation. And somebody is going to own this new bag out. When did it come out?
So actually this is, it came out maybe 2 weeks ago. But now we have everything in stock. Actually, your guys, bunch of bags are actually headed out the door. They're already on the way there. But what's cool about this bag, everyone, is that it has the 2 outside pockets. This is kind of hard to see, but go this way. We're married. It has the 2 outside pockets, right? You have one here, one here. It has the main compartment that you would put everything in through here. But this front pouch, you can put your pole spear all the way in. That's what's nice. And then, of course, it looks like it doesn't have backpack straps, right? However, if you come in here and you open that up, there is backpack straps. So when you are done with the product, you can always put the straps back away and carry it as a duffel bag. And the entire thing is made of PVC mesh. So as you can see through it a little bit, it will allow moisture to come off, so your gear will not stay moldy and gross. So that's the bag.
What is that bag called?
This is called the Voyager bag, and I created it because everywhere I go, I need everything. I need 2 pairs of fins. I need 2 wetsuits. I need 2 pairs of gloves. I need 2 of everything because the ocean is Murphy's Law. And I mean, you name it. I've had fins fly off the boat. I've had wetsuits get torn to the point where you can't wear them anymore. And, things happen. So I always like to have 2. And I've never once been in a situation where I said, damn, I wish I didn't have that second wetsuit or that second pair of fins, because more often than not, somebody on the boat needs it. So that's one of the reasons why I built the bag, the Voyager, because I'm always traveling around. And because it's 62 linear inches, so it actually can be put on a check bag on an airplane. It's not oversized. It'll fit all your free dive fins, long fins, all your wetsuits. I actually had a video on I just posted it on our Instagram today, where it shows me packing away 3 wetsuits, 2 pairs of fins, 2 masks, 2 snorkels, 2 gloves, everything like that. So, and then there's still room in the bag, right? So that's what's cool about this bag, is that you can put a ton of stuff in it, but if you don't have a ton of stuff, it can also be small enough to fit into the little hatches for you. So definitely a cool prize. So I think it's really awesome that you guys are raffling off one of them.
Yeah. And speaking about social media, I know that you and Neritic are on the social media. You guys have a Facebook, you have an Instagram, and you guys post lots of really great photos and videos, information about your products and just spearfishing in general. So if anybody is looking for some great social media content to follow, make sure that you are checking out their Facebook page. And what's your handle on Instagram?
So I have 2. I have the Neritic Diving, which is NERITIC_diving, right? If you just type in Neritic, it'll pop right up. Or if you type in Pole Spears, it'll go right away. But then I also have my personal page, which is CJ Duffie 22, and that's where I am starting to post a little bit more of the how-to videos. For example, the other day, I was doing a shrink wrap on a pole spear using the stovetop, right? Little cool things like that. Or you can follow along on some of the taxidermy process that I do. I try to keep a little bit of a separation of church and state, right, between CJ and Neritic. I don't want to bore everyone on Neritic with CJ Duffie's personal endeavors, but it all ends up being one and the same anyways. So
awesome. Okay, so we're talking about, when it comes to spearfishing and the gear. So when I'm going to be going out and I say I'm a beginner, what are some of the basic items that I should be picking up at my local dive shop like 4C to get out there and do some beginner stuff? And obviously I'm shooting some smaller fish. And then I'm going to ask you a little bit about some bigger fish and more advanced stuff. But start with the beginner stuff. What is some of the gear you think people need to?
So are we needing water wings or no?
I don't think you need water wings now.
Okay. Just checking. Yeah, so if you're getting started, okay, this is what I used. The Cressy Gara 3000 plastics or something similar to that, right? They're your best entry level plastic blades, right? You just get something simple that works. I know I'm coming out with a pair of plastic blades here very soon because when you're just getting into diving, you don't need to have fiberglass or carbons. Granted, will it help? Yes. I've reached 100-foot diving on plastics, and in my opinion, I think it's better to learn to dive on plastics because then you see the true difference. Once you've channeled your technique and you've gotten a little bit better, that's when you start to see those differences and the benefits of using that carbon fiber as opposed to the plastic. So definitely plastic long blades. What models do you guys carry in the store?
For plastic,
Mm-hmm.
we've got the Cressies. We have
Mm-hmm.
a Morays.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we do a hammerhead fin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have, those are the three things. Of those three, my favorite would be definitely the Cressies, right? That it's the industry standard at that level. And then in terms of like masks and spear guns and pole spears and things like that, if you're beginning, your mask is your best friend. Okay. Most people I know have had the same mask for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I talked to some people and they're like, I've had the same mask for 20 years, right? But find one that fits your face. Okay. Just because your friend has this mask does not mean that that's the best mask for you. Just because it looks cool because it has a mirrored lens does not mean that it's the best mask for you. You know what the best mask is for you? The one that fits your face and doesn't leak and doesn't hurt your forehead because of pressure, right? That's the best mask. And people are like, well, I'll just buy it online. No, definitely do not. Go into the store, put it on your face, suck in through your nose, let the store operator try to pull it off your face. And if you have a good seal, then there's your seal, right? As far as for weaponry, right? Everyone's so quick to go, hey, I need a gun. I need the bigger, the better, whatever. My honest opinion on that is everyone should start with a pole spear and you should start with a small pole spear. And the reason I say you should start with a small pole spear is because it's going to teach you how to get closer. It's going to teach you how to learn the behavior of the fish. And in the beginning, when you miss, reloading a gun takes a lot of time. With a pole spear, you get that quick reload, right? You shot, you miss, the fish is still kind of there. You can load it and shoot it again, right? So that's my honest input on all that when it comes to wetsuits. So I used to tell people it doesn't matter open cell versus closed cell. It doesn't matter. That's a lie. It was a bold-faced lie. Open cell wetsuits are more comfortable and less restrictive than closed cell wetsuits. Inevitably, the more comfortable you are, the less anxiety you're having, less oxygen you're using. That's our friend when it comes to freediving, right? Open cell wetsuits are also definitely going to be warmer, right? In South Florida in the summer, we don't really have to worry about that. We can do rash guards, right? And rash guards are awesome in Southwest Florida, or sorry, in South Florida during the summer. But in the winter time, if you're cold and shivering, you're going to have a bad time. So I would definitely recommend for freediving the open cell. And even some of the scuba divers are switching over to that open cell just because it is that much more comfortable. Now, with that said, if you know you are very rough on your gear and you know that you don't treat stuff very nicely, it may be something for you to consider that you want the closed cell. And the reason for that is the closed cell is much more durable than the open cell, right? So with every little piece of benefit for here and negative there, you have to take into consideration what your personal use is going to be and how you treat your belongings, right? If you're somebody who needs to get new furniture every 2 months because you jump on it and you break it, right? That's probably different than somebody who's gonna have the same furniture for 10 years, right? And there's people out there, like I have tons of friends who they get new phones every 6 months because they drop them, they crack their screens left and right. They don't know how to treat their belongings. But if you can treat your stuff right, your stuff will treat you right.
So CJ, you're talking about the wetsuits, but also you talked about using rash guards. And now the waters here in Florida are warming up. We actually have 80-degree water temperature, and it's going to get warmer throughout the summer. And so he carries your Neritic Rash Guard.
Yeah.
About this bad boy. What made you design it? What's the cool features on this?
So some of the rash guards out there don't have chest pads. And for spearfishing, having a chest pad is super important for when you're loading a gun, right? If you're in the Bahamas and you're doing pole spear stuff, you don't need the chest pad. And so the few lycras and rash guards out there that did have chest pads, they had these giant bulky chest pads that actually restricted some of that breathing, right? You're going to hear me talk about restriction of breathing and comfort because of how important that is. By not having a huge chest pad, you see there, it's kind of blends in. It has those dots. It doesn't restrict that breathing, and that's one of the things I like about that is if you need a chest pad, it's there. But if you don't need a chest pad, you really can't tell that it's there, and it's not going to make you feel uncomfortable. But I also like the hood, right? I enjoy having the hood up and over because when you stick your head inside of a coral and you're trying to look for a lobster that's underneath somewhere, right? Which I know is big. It's coming around the season. Lobster season's always huge in South Florida. Fire coral brushing against the side of your face is miserable. Okay. There's nothing worse than fire coral, especially on something tender like your cheek or your neck or something like that, right? So I just put the hood up and I'm in my own world. I can brush up against stuff and not really worry about it too much. And then those thumb loops, yeah. So one of the other things is when you're digging in underneath caves or whatever to get your fish or your lobster, it would suck if this way the wetsuit came down here and now your forearm is exposed. Your forearm's also a very sensitive piece of skin. It's nice to have that there as well to for the thumb loop so it keeps it. Now the bottom waist string there, that is actually used so again same thing so it doesn't rise up. So you don't want to be diving and have your entire midriff showing and rubbing against whatever it is that's going on down there, right? You need to tie that in, pull it tight so it stays there nice and firm on your body.
And what made you go with this type of camo? Because it doesn't really look like a camo. It has like these cool little I don't know, trilobites or what?
Yeah, trilobites. Yeah. So I wanted to keep the blue theme, right? Most things Neritic are black and blue. But here's the truth. Fish don't see color, right? It's all aesthetic. It's for us. And I just liked it. Like that's been my shtick for a long time. And I was a marine biologist, and the word neritic actually is a zone in the ocean. For those of you who don't know, the neritic zone is basically encompassing many zones. It encompasses from the intercoastals all the way to the abyssal drop off. It's actually really cool. Look it up. But I was sitting in class one day as a marine biologist, and I just remember thinking to myself, I said, Pelagic is a company, right? Pelagic, right? And then there's another company out there that uses those kind of, names. And so I said, if I ever create a company, I'm going to call it Neritic. It's going to have something to do with Neritic. And, 2-3 years later, it happened. But that's why the trilobites are cool. It's a little bit of science nerd.
And see, I'm a biology major myself, so see, I knew what they were.
Yeah.
So some other things that we do carry at the shop, and any beginner or even intermediate advanced person is going to want, you want to have good gloves when it comes to handling the fish. And your and the two that you have are, here we go. Can everybody see them?
Yeah, that's the Phantom and the Nexus. So the Nexus is our padded. It has those padding on the back, and the Phantom does not have the padding on the back. So Phantom feels like there's nothing there, right? I'm real original. But yeah, it's super important that those are cut proof, right? So our gloves are cut proof because you can be filleting or with a dive knife and you don't want to hurt yourself, right? But The other thing that's important is the puncture resistance. The puncture resistance level on that is 4, because sometimes you get spines or pieces of gill rakers or whatever the case is. And if you've ever had fish poisoning or from like a fish spine or something like that, it gets really bad really quick. People, lose limbs. It's not something that you want to deal with. So having good gloves matters. One of the things I like about our gloves is you can see there on the wrist how it's kind of tight on the wrist. A lot of gloves out there right now, they get really baggy right there, and it doesn't hold nicely. That little cuff area starts to stretch out right away. Ours lasts a little longer. And so that's one of the things that was important to me, was not to have a baggy, floppy glove. I like my gloves to fit really nice and tight. Uh, or, you know, work on, the trigger or whatever the case is, I can work on it all with the gloves in my hand. Um, some people prefer not to have the padding. Yeah, nice trigger finger. So some people actually prefer not to have the padding. They say that the padding's restrictive, so they like the non-padding. It's a little bit cheaper. They don't need to, have anything on the back, then there's no need, right? The one thing I will say is that padding saved me one time from a lionfish. So lionfish spines, by no means are these lionfish proof. This is not what I'm saying. The disclaimer is not there. So, lionfish spines, the way that they work, right, for lack of a better purpose, is this is a pen, right? This is this way. This is the spine. It has little grooves inside of the spine. That's where the venom is. When you have a hand that goes like this, only this much of the venom has been. This has not been deployed yet. This much has been. So, in theory, if you had the glove on, this way, and the spine went like this and only went a little bit in, you see how it's got that little bit of protection? That's just enough that in multiple cases that I've had, because it's that rubber, it's wiping some of that venom off. So the potency of that sting is not as bad, because it has to go through that padding, then it has to go through the material, then it gets into your hand, and by then you're talking what, 3, 4, 5 millimeters possibly. So that's definitely going to help in reducing that hit of venom. So there is some benefit to that. And also lobster. If you ever grab lobster by the knuckles, they always try to take those horns and dig into you, right, over the top of your hand. That's where that does come into play as well. So that's why these are a fan favorite for lobstering.
Yeah. I know a lot of our staff loves diving with these, so they're a fan favorite here at 4C for sure. So I feel like Vanna White, by the way. Like, here is the
On a fight.
How am I doing, everybody? Is everybody enjoying tonight's presentation? Give me a thumbs up. Let me know you're enjoying this. All right, so we've talked about the gear, and let's walk us through what it takes to make a free dive with your either spear gun or spear pole and do a successful shoot. Let me bring up this video so you kind of have something to show everybody. I'm actually going to come off the screen so people can see us a little bit better. So you won't see me, but they're going to see you in the video, and then walk us through what the free diving down and what you're looking for.
Yeah. So, is this me or is this Gavin? Let's see. That's definitely me. Okay. So my friend Gavin is filming me, but you can see here the beginning of the kicks are super big and long, and that's because I'm fighting positive buoyancy. And then I kind of drop, and you see how I'm not really kicking. It's kind of soft and it's very, very slow. Right now, I'm not trying to spook anything that's going on down there. I'm trying to enter. See, I'm slowly just sinking down, looking and looking, and I'm scanning the area, looking for the fish that I want. I'm keeping the gun close to me until the last minute. Now I'm seeing the fish I want to shoot. So I'm pulling it out and I'm shooting. As soon as I shoot, I'm swimming to that fish because I want to get the fish out and away from whatever the structure was. In this case, it was pretty much stoned. It's a nice mutton snapper. And I'm able to bring it up on the same dive, right? I try to not leave my fish down there because I don't want sharks to attack it or anything like that. So, but that's More or less, when you're doing a free dive, you really want to enter the scene as slow and controlled and calm as possible because, I mean, think about it. If you're at a party and somebody walks in the door and they're super loud, you're going to pay a lot of attention to them. Now, either A, you're going to love them and you're going to want to go hang out with them, or B, you're not going to like them very much and you're probably going to just try to avoid them the rest of the night, right? The same thing happens if you enter the scene way too loud when you're spearfishing. Either A, they're going to challenge you because you're entering their territory, right? Sometimes you hear about this, right? Big cuberas, big cobias, some of these bigger amberjacks, right? They're not scared of you, so they'll come right up to you, right? And they'll be broad and they'll be bold, and that works for some cases. But in a lot of other cases, sometimes if you're loud and scary, they want nothing to do with you. So entering that scene as calm as possible and slow as possible works for two things, right? It doesn't scare the fish and it helps you reserve some of that energy and that oxygen usage so that you can have a longer, more successful dive.
So when we're talking about being down there, do you guys ever use structures like rocks or bigger like coral reef structures, or maybe even some of the artificial reefs like wrecks to be able to hide from a fish to, maybe take a shot on something?
Yeah. So if I'm doing deep wreck diving, most of the time I'm shooting stuff in the upper water column, right? I'm diving down. If we're in 130 feet of water, the wreck only comes up to 100, if that. I'm probably diving in that 60, 70, maybe 80 foot, still just shooting stuff in the water column. So I'm probably not hiding behind it, right? But if I am on the shallower reef or something like that where I need to really disguise myself and hide from some of the fish, that is something that you can do. But I've noticed personally that it's really not so much about hiding behind structure from the fish. It's more about presenting yourself as an approachable part of their society. It really is. Like if you know that you're going to make a drop and you're going to go sit on the bottom and do what's called espeto diving, you can actually go to the bottom. You can pat sand. You can throw sand up in the air. Mutton snapper, mangrove snapper, yellow jacks, all kinds of things, right? Dog snappers. They'll get curious and they'll come in and they'll want to see what you're doing, right? Typically in their world, when an animal's puffing up a bunch of sand, either a parrotfish just pooped, or B, something's eating, right? And whenever something's eating, there's usually scraps to be had. And when there's scraps to be had, fish are usually there to see what's going on. So when you do puff that sand, that's kind of what you're imitating is a feeding micro moment, and those feeding micro moments are good opportunities to catch fish in a more boldened state where they're less likely to be running away from you.
So that brings me to, where do you aim? When do you know how to take a shot? And I'm going to bring up this photo here because that's a great photo of you with where it shows the shot here.
Yeah. Species dependent, right? People say all the time with wahoo, they say, yeah, shoot it in the tail because it's hard, it's not going to rip, and you can take out their motor, right? Me personally, my favorite shot, doesn't matter where, on what fish, is going to be right behind the head. You can see, honestly, that shot is probably 2 inches too far back. It could have been a little bit better, closer towards that eye and more into that face, but I'm not upset by that shot at all because you get full control over that fish. And it was very close to stoning that fish, because if you can imagine, that's where the the spine, goes right up into the cranium, and ideally you sever that. But I tell people all the time, if you can't get a good shot on the fish, wait, because what you do when you take a bad shot on a fish and you don't land the fish is you educate that fish. You educate that fish to what a diver looks like, what an aggressive diver looks like, and forever that fish will be scarred. If someone walked into your home and did something traumatic like shoot you with a spear gun, right? You probably would be a little bit more hesitant the next time you saw someone with a spear gun in their hand, right? Same thing with these fish. We don't want to educate the fish. If we're going to introduce ourselves to them, we want to make sure we're taking that fish. The other thing is, if you shoot it in the stomach and it rips off, the fish is probably going to die. You didn't get the fish. And then on top of that, now you're educating sharks, right? Sharks are hearing the sound of the spear gun going off. They're now getting a free meal and chasing around your half dead grouper, or snapper or whatever it is, right? So I always tell people before shooting a spear gun at a fish, you should be shooting it in the open just to see how fast and how far you can shoot and what your accuracy looks like, right? Similar to like you go to a gun range to practice shooting your gun. So same thing here. Do it in your pool, do it in the shallows, whatever the case is. Get used to your gun so you know how far you can shoot from a fish. And visibility plays a big part in that too, right? If the visibility is bad, and you can see the fish, it's probably in shooting range, right? But when the visibility is really good and you get that deceptively clean blue water, you're like, oh, I'm 10 feet away. But the truth is you were 30 feet away and you barely nick that fish, right? So one of the things I tell people is, hey, you really got to be able to see like the white in the eyes of that fish before you can pull the trigger. And that's for a spear gun, right? For pole spears, you got to get even closer. But that's more or less what I would say for where you would want to shoot that fish.
Okay. And so I'm actually going to ask the next question. All right, once we're down there, you decide you're going to take the shot. You take the shot, you get that fish. So handling that fish, what are some of the things that you should be aware of as a free diver to handle a fish back to the surface? I'm going to pull up this shot because this is a cool one. So there's that shot of you. I think that's
well. Just because you shot the fish does not mean that you got it. Okay.
True.
just because you pulled the trigger and that shaft went through that fish, it does not mean that that fish is coming onto the boat. There's so much more. That is 1/3 of the battle. And I had this conversation. Actually, this is Tommy. He's one of my clients who's really progressed lately, and I teach all my clients is to dive as a team. And so that when the one person's down shooting the fish, as soon as they shoot, they actually hold and pull that line and try not to let the fish go into any structure. And the idea there is on their way up, another diver is on the way down to help them grab the fish and pull that fish up so that the original shooter diver can go to the surface and get their breath while there's a third person there that's as a safety diver to make sure that they're okay. And then once they get their breath, you can go back down if the fish is still pulling hard. And you can protect the fish from sharks, right? Poking sharks away is super important, right? So just because you shot the fish doesn't mean that it's not going to wrap up. And just because it didn't wrap up doesn't mean that the sharks aren't going to eat it. And just because the sharks didn't eat it doesn't mean that it's not going to potentially pull off the shaft because it was a bad shot. So a second shot might be needed. In which case, I tell people instead of just trying to grab the fish with your hands, just hug the fish. Just bear hug the fish, get it into your body, take it to the surface. Here, Tommy is, he's got his hand on, one side of the shaft. He's actually trying to pull the shaft through because that fish is dead. But yeah, you can brain the fish, use the knife. I always cut the gills. Always. Always. I like bleeding out my fish. I like treating my meat properly. It tastes so much better. And so I don't even bother. I don't brain fish, actually. I want them to still be alive. I want their central nervous system to be pumping when I slit the gill plate. Right underneath the gill plate, there's like a little area right there. You just do one quick little pass, and it'll dump blood, and they need to be alive for that. And then they'll bleed out pretty quickly, and then they'll be dead. But that's my go-to.
Okay, so let me go ahead and hide that photo. There's another photo that I wanted to share with everybody. This is a recent one from your Facebook page, and you've got this nice, beautiful fish. Tell us a little bit about this shot that you did.
That was a fun one. So we were in the West Coast. That's an average size cobia over there, believe it or not. They get much, much bigger. It would by no means was it a small one, right? But that was a nice, 35-pound cobia. And that's actually the one that I turned in for the Florida Spearfishing tournament, which we can talk about a little bit more later. But that fish, I was actually on a guided trip. I was with a bunch of people, and I went down to see if the cobia were going to be around, and there was him with 3 or 4 other small ones, and I sat there on the bottom and I waved some people down. 2 people tried to come down, but then they had equalization issues, and finally I decided, you know what, I'm gonna take the fish. I hope they're not mad at me after. And it turned out everyone was stoked that I shot the fish, because after I shot that one, a bunch of small ones came up around it. And I mean, they were still legal, so people were able to shoot some cobias, but they were small in comparison to that one. So we ended up landing like four cobia. I took a picture with that one, and it worked out great. But cobia fight like hell. They will continue fighting until the very end. So line management super important on that one. Um, on that fish, actually, I actually have it on video, and I'm actually going to post that tomorrow. So, so that one was kind of cool too, with the line management and making sure that you're not getting your reel line wrapped up around you. You're constantly pulling it out to the right hand side. Um, not allowing it to catch on things, because if that fish takes it for a big run, you need to make sure that you have everything under control.
Awesome. Well, since you pretty much go after fish all throughout the coastline of Florida, the state of Florida, let's talk a little bit about what type of licenses do you need to be able to spear fish here in South Florida, or sorry, in the state of Florida?
Yeah, so the saltwater fishing license is all you need. It's the same exact, it's fishing or spearfishing. It's not a differentiated license. I think in state it's something like $17, $18. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've actually purchased it. There's a card called the Goldsman, which is a lifetime license. I said I'm going to fish for the rest of my life, so there's no reason for me to buy a new one every year or every 5 years or whatever the case is, right? And you actually save money when you do that. So if you have kids that are just getting into this, I think after 16 they need a license. Prior to 16 they don't need it. After 16 they do, and at that point in time it just makes sense, because but after 10 years it pays for itself, and then you still have it for the rest of your life. So yeah, simple fishing license. You can do the annual or you could do the lifetime. Is definitely all you need. um, unless you want to start doing something that's called SPL. So lionfish, very bad, very very bad, but also very tasty and very valuable. So you can get your SPL license if you have a saltwater product or saltwater fishing license. That's what the SPL stands for. It stands for saltwater products license. You then can sell lionfish to wholesalers and distributors, so fish houses. So and you can get upwards of $4, $5, $6 a pound for your lionfish. So if you go out there and you have a good day, catch 20, 30 lionfish, you can pay for the boat fuel just by selling your lionfish. So that's another cool opportunity for people. Or if you just want to eat it all, you can eat it all too. Right. But those are the two licenses that I see most frequently used.
Okay. And, you're talking about using team of divers to help you land fish. How do you and your free diving pay attention to your buddies, your boat, your dive computer, and also what you're trying to do is spear the fish? So what are some of the ways to get your skills developed so that you can do all these things?
There's no substitute for time in the water experience, right? There's no substitute for that. But with that said, having dive buddies or a dive team that holds you accountable and is on the same page is extremely helpful. If you have somebody that does not buy into the team mentality, you're constantly going to be fighting an uphill battle. But if you're diving with people where you know that you can, you're breathing up, you're going through your mental checklist, right? You've been breathing up, you've been getting your heart rate lowered, and then now you say, okay, I'm about to take a dive. Well, you want to know that somebody's watching you, right? So what we do is, and with all my clients and all my dive buddies, if you're about to dive, you pick your head up and you say, hey, I'm about to dive. And you don't dive until, okay, Scott, you got me? Okay, great. Boom. Now you know Scott's watching you, right? You do not. And typically when you pick your head up, if there's three or four of you in the same area, everyone else also sees you say, hey, I'm going to dive. So at the very bare minimum, you have one, but maybe all people watching you. And then that's where the value add of me as a guide comes into play a lot of times. Is I see a scenario and I say, okay, Johnny, you're going to dive down and shoot this fish because you've been breathing up the longest. Okay. Scott, you're going to watch Johnny when he dives. You're going to meet him halfway down to help him pull that fish up. Oh, hey, Frank, make sure you're ready to go on the shark patrol because I see a shark over there. He might. What you're going to want to do is go down there and protect the fish as blah blah blah, right? And I assign all these jobs and tasks just for that one dive, that one moment. But it's so nice when you have 3 or 4 people all working together because your chances of landing that fish become significantly better.
And making sure that maybe all these people have taken what type of course?
Yeah, freediving course. So you can take a freediving course, and that gets you good at freediving. However, there is a very clear difference between freediving and spearfishing. And I think it's important that everyone learns to freedive before they learn to spearfish, right? You don't just say, okay, I'm going to learn to freedive and then I'm going to start spearfishing, right? No, you should learn to freedive and you should get good and comfortable at freediving because guess what? Your approach to the fish is 100% predicated on your freediving capabilities, right? If you're flashing around and you're not comfortable at depth and you don't have good bottom time and all these things, well, then you're not going to be nearly as successful when it comes to hunting and spearfishing, right? So you do need to master the freedive aspect before you can master the spearfishing aspect. Now, we are in a world of instant gratification. We are in a world where I want to go take a course this weekend, and then next weekend I want to go kill a fish and bring it home for the barbecue, right? And I get that. So with that said, I think it's important to it's very important to make sure that you understand that if you do take a course this weekend and you want to go spearfishing next weekend, there's gonna be a learning curve. You're gonna miss the do not miss the fish and say, oh, this gun sucks, whatever, right? No, learn the gun, right? Learn how it shoots. Does it shoot slightly to the left? Okay, maybe you change it, right? Learn your weapons, learn your guns, learn your equipment, all that. It's so important. And then have some humility, right? If just because you hit 60 foot in your freedive course does not mean that you're a 60-foot freedive spearfisherman, right? It means that you might be a 30, 40-foot spearfisherman. Maybe. I hear it all the time. Yeah, I hit 100 foot. I'm a 100-foot diver. No, no, you are not. Right. And then it's that chest bumping mentality that a lot of people have where it's like, this is how good I am. This is what I can do. But the truth is, you tell a bunch of people that, hey, I'm good to freedive in 80 foot. You get to 80 foot and you're not even going to the bottom. Is it even fun for you? Not really, right? So be real, be very humble about your achievements when it comes to freediving and spearfishing, and you'll see that you'll have more fun that way because you'll actually be paired up with people within your same skill level.
Yeah, and again, you can always hire 4C guides to go out with you. We're definitely able to get you guys connected there, whether it's with someone from 4C or maybe CJ. We can, push you to some people. So if you are interested, write us at info@force-e.com and we can help you get some information on that. So, you're talking about spearing with people that are like-minded, people who want to go in and do this. So there's definitely clubs out there. You mentioned that you were one of the founders of starting the FAU Spearfishing Club. Is there other clubs?
FGCU. So actually, it was the FGCU Spearfishing Club in Fort Myers.
I'm sorry.
And the reason there is an FAU Spearfishing Club is because I helped Farrell start the FAU Spearfishing Club, and he was a friend of mine. And so I actually, when that all was going on, that's so crazy. It's been like, I don't know, what are we, 2021? So it's been 9 years. It's been 9 years.
Don't date yourself, TJ. Don't date yourself.
It's been 9 years since Farrell and I first started those clubs, which was so cool. It was awesome. There's a group called the Florida Spearfishing Tournament, right? It's a Facebook group that I run. It's a tournament as well, right? But if you're looking for dive buddies, it's an easy place to go find dive buddies. They have both free dive categories and scuba categories. 15 categories in each discipline for different fish, grouper, snapper, hogfish, amberjack, African pompano, you name it, right? And you can go and you can compete online. You can, when you register, you get a tape measure in the mail with your hat, the shirt, pair of gloves, a whole registration package, and then you spearfish all year long like you normally would. And then you guys are actually a sponsor. You
Yes,
guys have a
we
category,
are. Yes, we
right?
do.
So if someone wins the Force E category, then they get $500 to Force E, which can get you a lot of cool stuff, right? So but you would enter your fish. Like let's just say you shot a mangrove snapper. Great. You take out the tape measure, you play it over the top of the fish, you video or take pictures along the way, making sure that you're following the rules, tail to mouth, over the top, no wrinkling of the tape, right? No funny business to try to squeeze some inches here, right? There is a little bit of honor that needs to be taken place here, but we have 245 people that are doing a really, really good job of entering honest and honorable submissions, and you know 34 different sponsors and categories and different disciplines. It's amazing. It's a really cool social group, and there's a lot of people who have met their now current dive buddies as a result of being part of that tournament. So um, it's great.
Awesome. All right, so I have another question, and then we're going to do our bag giveaway. Mr. Gary Shackton would like to know, how do you protect the fish from a shark?
I saw that. So Gary, and he says, I'm not sure I want to be assigned that
That's
job.
true.
So um, uh, so let me put this into perspective, right? All animals, humans, monkeys, elephants, sharks, one and the same. It's about calorie expenditure versus risk of being hurt, right? And also, what are you going to gain, right? They're going to size up a situation and say, how many calories am I going to gain? How many calories am I going to spend? And what is the risk threshold of me potentially getting hurt and not being able to hunt in the future, right? So sharks are scary because of Jaws and media and blah blah blah, and because when one shark bite happens, it gets blown up everywhere, right? Sharks are not scary. Sharks are scared of you, actually. So if you just act aggressive towards sharks, for the most part, they're going to come right to you, and you're going to be right there, and then they're going to turn off, right? You see it all the time. They come up real hot and then they turn away, right? Or you put the spear gun in between you and the animal, or the pole spear between you and the animal, and worst case scenario, they bump into it, right? And as soon as something hits them, they're no longer interested, right? They want a free meal. That's what they're after. They're not here to go to war. They want something quick, easy. They want the McDonald's. They want the Burger King. They want to have it their way. It's they're not flesh eating. They're not targeting in on you, right? So protecting the fish is actually really easy. It's just go down near the fish. The fish is still flopping, but you can poke at the shark. Now, do I recommend that you go down there and you flop around too and you look scared? No, because you are no longer posing a threat. You look easy. You look like something that they can take care of, right? Then they will take a bite out of you because they say, oh, there's another piece of prey. And it looks a little bit bigger and it looks a little bit easier to get, right? As long as you pose yourself as a threat, there's nothing that they're going to do to you. So that's what I would say.
And if he really, really wants that fish, guess what, guys? There's always another day to catch a fish. So just let him have it. It's not worth taking your hand off for, right? You're
right.
like, oh, no, I want that fish.
Well, this is an interesting topic of conversation, because there's a lot of people out there that believe that because of our spearfishing practices that we're teaching these sharks to hear about the sounds of boats and the spear guns and things like that, right? So I would say that with reasonable caution, that you do try to do what you can to not give the shark the free meal, so that they start associating other spearfishing micro moments with free meals, right? So I would edge on that caution of, don't make it so easy for them, right? But and then the more you're around sharks too, you start to see what a curious shark is versus a aggressive, hungry shark. So so yeah, it's if the shark is acting erratic and fidgety and moving really fast, that's one of those things where it might make sense to keep the fish a little bit further away from you. But if the shark's just coming in to check it out, it's like I said, once you claim that fish and put it on your body, that shark is not going to come take that fish from in between your arms. They're just not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. So I think it's within everything is circumstance driven, right? You have to read the situation. And if you're new to dealing with sharks, that is something that's scary, but that, maybe hearing me talk about, hey, just kind of I scream at them, rah, and they run away. And I'm not scary, right? I'm 5'9", 165 pounds, soaking wet, right? I'm not a very large individual, and I mean I'm from the surface 30 feet away, and I just go rah, and blow bubbles and do a bunch of crazy stuff, and they're just like, I don't like that, and they leave. So we have Mike Green here. I think your comments apply to the hunter. How important is it to you if the predator is unpredictable? Yeah, absolutely. So like just unpredictable sharks, but also you kind of learn species, right? You learn, the way bull sharks behave as opposed to reef sharks, as opposed to.
Oh, absolutely. They all are different for sure.
And especially if you are now being a regular reef or a wreck diver, you'll notice some of these sharks have the same exact scars. That shark is a local wreck shark. And then you'll start to know that, like we have one over here on the West Coast. His bottom jaw is kind of like down and out to the side. We call him lockjaw, but we're like, oh, lockjaw's here, but we know he's not going to do anything ever because he's just, he's the friendly neighborhood shark. So definitely something that you should pay attention to is the shark behavior. Have you seen the shark before? There's one off the Vandenberg in Key West. It's the same exact 12-foot hammerhead. He's got a shark longline tag on his left pectoral fin. I don't know how it ended up there. Probably during when you hit one of those long lines. But I see him probably 1 out of every 3 times that I'm there. So, and I know he's not going to do anything ever. I have been blessed to not have any shark attacks. I've had like 2 people that I'm friends, and we'll use friends loosely, right? Like acquaintances with that have had shark incidences. But the misnomer that they're out there to get you is not the case. And most of the time, if you just protect your fish and you have your weapon and you're aggressive, you're going to be just fine.
Okay, so Kim wants to know about booking spearfishing trips on your website. So with 4C, you can go on our website and go to that Spearfishing Month page, and you can click there, and we will give you more info about how to book some spearfishing guides that'll get you out there, whether you want to free dive or on scuba. We can get you guys set up so you can get one of our professionals out there that's going to help you learn about your gear, about the diving, about how to shoot, and they're going to help you get the skills that you need to bring home dinner. So, all right. So CJ, we've got that bag to raffle off, right? So let me bring in our, here we go. Here's our raffle. All right. So I got everyone's name off of the what's it called? The Eventbrite. And so there's everyone's name. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to raffle off the bag from Neritic. So here we go. The big winner is David. Do you know that person?
I do not. Hi, David. How are you?
All right. So, David, if you're watching, give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you're excited. You are the winner of that bag. And make sure you go to Instagram and check out that video that he posted about all the stuff that he can pack into that one bag. He can pretty much put the whole entire kitchen in that bag, if you ask me. So you can see how it functions and how it works. And again, get it out there and let's go diving. Also, guys, I wanted to show you our other thing that we have going on right now. It is Spearfishing Month. And so Chiefy, he did write an article about differences between metal and wood spear guns. So if you guys want more information about the spear gun types, go ahead and check out that blog. I'm going to post it tomorrow on our timeline, but if you guys want to check it out, you can go to www.force-e.com. Check out that blog. It's got lots of great information. So if you are looking at what type of gun you should buy and you're not sure if it's metal or wood, that is going to be your go-to article right there. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening in. We appreciate you the time, and we definitely appreciate our guest presenter, CJ, thank you so much for taking the time to teach us about spearfishing when freediving, all these really good tips and tricks and things that we can do to get better. So we appreciate it, and we hope you guys have a great rest of the evening. See ya!
Awesome. Steven, I use a wood spear gun. Bye, guys.
Bye.